Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Walker. I'm a computer science major at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and today I'll be demoing my cybersecurity course project. For this course project, I decided to implement a phishing website. A phishing website is essentially a website that an attacker will use to steal the login credentials of any user. This is mainly done by impersonating another website and sending them a hostile link via email or Facebook Messenger, for a couple of examples. When I first started this project, the first thing I needed to do was figure out what website I was going to impersonate. Now, there was a couple of things that came to mind: PayPal, Amazon, Google, but after some deliberation, I decided to impersonate the Facebook login page. The main reason for this is because I have no prior experience with web development. While I have used HTML a little bit in the past, it is not enough for me to remember, and then I have no experience with CSS, JavaScript, or PHP. Another reason I decided to implement the Facebook login page is when thinking from the point of view of an attacker, a website with so much traffic is a great target for stealing a user's information, simply because a lot of people have the habit of reusing the same login information for any website or account. First, let me start by showing you the website I made. So this is the Facebook login page I created. As you can see, I went ahead and created the header bar with the same blue. Got the background, I have the sign up information right here, as well as the important login things right here. Now, there are some issues immediately when you can see, such as the birthday, gender option, as well as some of the spacing. When I was working on this website, I had a lot of issues just with the languages. It was very difficult working through the bugs and just trying to learn everything I needed to learn. As such, I decided to go with a method where I focused on the top half of the page more than I did on the bottom half. The reasoning behind this is because the main target for these phishing websites are people who already have accounts. Now, if everyone else is like me, which they most likely are, whenever you go to the Facebook login page, the first thing you're going to see is the login information. You're going to type in the information you need, hit the login button, and be on your way. This right here is not really going to pop into your eyesight. Now let's take a look at the actual Facebook login page. As we can see here, a lot of the information or setup is the same, but we can see where I had pointed out the same issues. Birthday is not exactly the same. It's a drop-down menu versus just necessarily input. There's some better spacing right here, and also there's more spacing right here. Unfortunately, when I was working on the website, this was as far as I can get as in the time I was allotted. As will be read in the report, a lot of this time was spent basically on me just learning the languages and working through the bugs I need. But that doesn't mean I didn't earn anything from this project. I learned and gained a much better understanding of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and web development than I did previously have. As we can see here, the login information can be put in and it will submit. And it will also, but all I get is just the email and password appear in the URL bar. I was not able actually to save the login information and redirect the user to the actual login page. Now, an issue that this might have been from is I was never actually able to put this thing or this website online. Now, as for the tools I used for this project, these mainly consisted of Google Chrome, the snipping tool, GIMP, and then the Sublime Text 3 editor. As with any website, Google Chrome is very important. Not only can it let you view your HTML code, but it gives you an option to look at the current website that you're trying to impersonate and make sure yours is up to date and closely resembles it. With this and the introduction of the snipping tool, I was allowed to take the Facebook login page and use this image so I can grab necessary information from it. For example, let's go to the GIMP editor. As with HTML, a lot of the colors used when you're trying to implement them, they're not going to be the just said name. They're actually going to be a hexadecimal code. Since I was using GIMP, I could actually just simply go to the tools, choose the color picker, and then pick out the individual colors I needed and grab the codes that were necessary for me to implement. This saved me a lot of time once I figured out I could actually do this. Another important part of the Windows snipping tool is that with it, I was allowed to grab parts of the login page that I normally would have issues implementing by myself. For example, the Facebook logo, or maybe this entire little portion of text right here, so I did not have to implement it. As with my post, the Facebook logo as well as this section of text are all implemented via images, not hard-coded. This saved me also a fair amount of time. Finally, what helped me out a lot with this project is going to be the Sublime text editor. With this editor, as we can see, it highlights and gives you a good amount of information necessary for the project. When I started out this project, I began simply using the Notepad. While this worked well for HTML, once I starting to learn HTML and CSS, I ran into some issues linking them. After some searching, I found the Sublime editor, and not only did it help me link them, but it also helped me understand where I was missing some of my issues before with the highlighting information. Now let's talk about how far I got the project. As I said earlier, I was only able to get to the implementation phase of this project. When I was trying to implement the information download and file redirect, I ran into an issue. I started out by trying to work with PHP. Now, PHP, from my opinion, is not the easiest to use language. I struggled mainly with the fact of trying to figure out how to get the information I needed to the PHP code, or how to link a PHP file to my HTML code. After some issues, I decided to scrap this one, or scrap the PHP, and move on to JavaScript. Luckily, JavaScript is closer, in my opinion, than PHP, closer to C++ to PHP, and made learning it a bit easier. As we can see here, I was able to implement a function that I believe should have helped me do what I needed to. We passed the form for the information, and then pass it through, set an element called email and an element called password, write them to a file, and close the file. Now, it may have been I was using the wrong path. It may have been, like I said before, that it just went online. Unfortunately, I could not figure out. After some deliberation, I finally decided, well, at least let me get to where I can relocate the web page to where I need it to. So that's what this line of the function is for. But unfortunately, I ran into the same issue again. It just wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out time or figure out why, so I ran out of time. But I am happy with what I got done with this project. It let me learn a lot more than what I had originally known, and it was a good project for me to work on during the semester. I hope to improve on what I did and maybe work on something else later. This has been my presentation on my cybersecurity course project.